Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to Stress and Sleep Management. My name is Tom Lenz, and I'll be your tour guide, I guess, for the next 8 weeks. I'm excited to do this class with you. I love teaching this class. I feel like it has great application for nearly everyone, if I can overstate that. And so the purpose of this video is to give you an introduction about the class in general. And then each week I'll give a separate video about the content for the week. And we'll kind of work through each piece, each module one at a time in that way. But this is an overview video just so you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into, what the expectations are over the next 8 weeks. The way the course is set up is, of course, it's 8 weeks long, and we're going to cover stress and sleep. But the first 4 weeks, we're going to cover sleep, and then the second half of the class, the second 4 weeks, we'll cover 5, 6, 7, and 8, we'll cover stress. And so it's really divided up in that way. So you can have that expectation of reading the Walker book, the Why We Sleep book, and I should grab it off my bookshelf here for you. It's sitting right back here. And so this is how we're going to open the course is with Why We Sleep. It is a fantastically written book. And, sometimes I always like to give folks a heads up if there's a TED Talk by the author on the content, and there is on that one. So sometimes it's worth watching the TED Talk. You're talking about 20 minutes of watching it and then reading the book after that. It gives you an idea of who the person is. And sometimes I like that when you're reading the book and you can hear the author's voice and picture them, and it's kind of nice to get an overview prior to reading. So you might want to look that up. He's done quite a lot of interviews over the years, so you'll likely find a lot of videos from him. So pick the one you like and just get an overview of his work. So just from then, the overview side of the material, we're going to do that the first 4 weeks, and then starting week 5, we're going to use the sleep management. It's the small book here from Harvard Medical School. The reason I picked this is it gives a great overview, mostly of how sleep works from a pathophysiology side. That's really important for us to understand some of the medical side background of why we get stressed, and then what it does to us physiologically. It helps us to understand a bit more about what happens to us when we're stressed. So this book does a nice job of covering that in a relatively succinct way. Unfortunately, as crazy as it sounds, and I think it's even crazy saying it out loud, I could not find a decent reference that was written as a journal article overview on this. And so I went to that reference because it seems to be the best one that I could find. Years prior, I used a different book that was, several hundred pages long, and it went into a lot of information we didn't need to know or cover in this course, and it was relatively expensive. The textbook was. So I went away from that. And this year I have 2 separate references that I haven't used before, and I'm really excited to use both. Of course, one is the sleep management piece from Harvard. The other one, though, is Compassionomics. And it may sound crazy to put a book about compassion in a sleep and stress class and talking about stress. But it has a great message for us, regardless of what your work environment is. Compassionomics is heavy into showing us the research related to developing compassion with others. And it really is the idea of a relationship and what that means. So in the context of this class, it has a lot to do with our stress. And so, we'll get into this, of course, in detail in the second half of the class, but most people's natural reaction to being stressed is to pull back and retreat. But this isn't what the data shows in many areas, medical, but nature at the same time. I mean, we'll get into the details, but engagement is where we relieve our stress. Greater relationship rather than less relationship is where we find ourselves becoming less stressed, less burned out, less fatigued. And so what I want to show you is that there's so much research related to this. We're not going to read the whole book. The book is jam-packed with a lot of stuff. I selected a few chapters there for the last 2 weeks of class. So those are the references for the course. So let's talk about the course in general. And so if you had a chance prior to this, watching this video, looked at the syllabus, you'll say, wow, I actually get a grade for sleeping and for meditating. And yes, you do. How about that for graduate level education? So there's a couple really important parts to this. One of the things that you'll be doing in here is meditation. And you'll get a grade, and it'd just be not how well you meditated, of course, but that you actually did it. And so there's a form that you'll fill out and submit at the end of every week that is just basically saying, yes, I meditated, or no, I didn't. And then there's just either all points or no points associated with that. And you can see the details in the syllabus. And the important part about this is the meditation part. I made a separate video. It's about 15 minutes long or so. Also in the course introduction, along with other references specifically about the meditation piece. So it's actually below where you found this video. Just scroll down and that video and the information are listed there. So yes, you get a grade for meditating. But the other part is keeping a sleep diary. So of course, everybody sleeps. And this is we found in our program, which I'll likely talk about a bit as we move through the course, first half of the course. Our lifestyle medicine program heavily focuses on sleep, and we use this same tool, a sleep diary. And so I'm going to have you use it for this class too. There are specifics, about it that I'll go through as we talk more as we get into the course. But essentially, you complete the sleep diary on a daily basis, and at the end of the week, you submit it in for your assignment. So it's an interaction with this sleep diary on a daily basis, and it asks you questions like how much sleep did you get, how well did you sleep, rating your different forms of sleep, and perhaps some things that maybe disrupted your sleep and so forth. And the purpose of it, and as is for any type of journaling or diary you do about lifestyle behaviors, is that hopefully you can start seeing patterns over time. You can start making connections between how you're feeling, how your health is, and things like sleep and the specifics of sleep, and then perhaps some things that you're eating relative to that it might be affecting your sleep, or drinking or whatever. So that's the purpose of the sleep diary, is a tool for behavior modification, but mostly, rooted in the increased awareness of what your daily habits are. So yes, you get a grade for sleeping, at least recording your sleeping anyway. So in this course, the way the grading goes is we'll have a discussion each week, same pattern as we usually follow for this program, where you'll do an initial discussion post. You'll be put in small groups of 5 or 6 people, which will be different each week. And you submit an initial post on Thursday, and then 2 reply posts by Sunday. It's the same pattern we use for every course in our program. So if you're in our program, the Integrative Health and Wellness Program, you'll have seen this before. If you're just starting the program, this is the pattern that you'll recognize. If you're taking this course from a different program, that pattern may be different, but that's just how we do it here. And if this is your one-off class that you're taking because you found it interesting, we have discussion boards as a way to get the group talking together. In this particular course, we just do it by written asynchronous correspondence. In other courses, we make videos and so forth, but we just do written in here and go back and forth with discussions in that way. So we'll have 8 discussion boards, so 1 each week. and that's worth, out of the 1,220 points for the course, collectively the discussions are worth 480 points, so a big chunk, greater than a third anyway. Meditation reflection paper. So each week you'll write a reflection paper. So 8 reflection papers based on your meditation practice. 8 reflection papers based on your sleep. So it's just reflecting about how the sleep patterns went for you. And there's instructions and guidance on this within the syllabus, within the Blue Line site, course site. Then the meditation affirmation that I mentioned before, and then the sleep diary. So all of those, anything you heard hopefully is not too difficult already, what you've heard so far. And then the main, not main, but the bigger assignment is a literature review paper that is at the end of the course. It's only worth 100 points out of the 1,220 points. So not a great deal of number of points percentage-wise, certainly for the course. The other pieces are what I feel are more important in establishing habits, self-awareness, enhanced consciousness of where you are relative to sleep and stress. Those are the important things to get out of this course. There's a bit of reading in here, and you'll recognize that as we get going. But that's, the learning piece of this comes from the course material, the books and so forth. The paper is as you'll read in the syllabus, is your topic of choice. So you'll get to pick any topic, stress, sleep, whatever that you found interesting, and you get to write a paper about it. And I think I probably should have looked this up before. I think I remember it's being somewhere around 5 pages, so it's not a terribly difficult paper to write. So that is the overall picture of the course and what it looks like from a logistical standpoint. So you might be wondering, so why did we combine sleep and stress together? And so I have 2 answers. The first one is practical. When we developed this Integrative Health and Wellness Master's program, we needed to limit it to 36 hours. We had 2 courses left, one for sleep, one for stress, and we had 3 credit hours to use, so we combined them together. So that's the practical side of it. But it turns out as we started to teach this course is that these 2 topics play off of each other very well. And certainly in my lifestyle medicine practice over the last 20 years, sleep has done a great deal to mitigate stress. And stress lowering stress has done a great deal to help improve sleep. So they both play off each other. So in the program design, it made sense to combine these 2 together because there's such synergy between the 2, and we can talk about very similar topics for both. So I think it works well together. It seems to have worked well together. Would I love to have each of them separately in an 8-week class? Absolutely. I think there's enough material, of course, for both to be able to do that. But this does give, I think, some good insight for you, hopefully, on both topics. And I think one of the important pieces about this is not just learning this material to be able to translate it for the people you work with. Perhaps you're a healthcare provider, perhaps you're studying to be a health coach, or whatever your role is, your professional role is. Yes, you can take this material and transfer it to other people from a knowledge and skill-based standpoint. But I think even more importantly, this is helpful for you personally. One of the major objectives of this program is for the students in the program to move forward with their own health and wellness, and in particular stress, chronic stress, and hopefully sleep also. So that's a major focus of this, and that's the purpose of you. Another reason why I feel like it's important for you to start practicing meditation, at least in this course, to start being more aware of your sleep. And some of those actual practices and skills and experiences, and not just reading about it in a book, but trying to do it for yourself. I am a really big fan of becoming your own first patient. or client, however you want to look at it, or student, whatever role you are. So trying things first before you recommend them to someone else, I think, is always a good idea. So that's the overview of this course, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and getting to know you if we haven't had each other in class yet. And I think just a one quick ground rule for this, just maybe more than one. First of all, you can call me whatever you want. As far as a name preference for me is for you to just call me Tom. But if you feel more comfortable with Dr. Lenz or Professor Lenz or Mr. Lenz or whatever you have a preference for, feel free to just do whatever's comfortable for you. And secondly, if you want to communicate, or when you want to communicate with me, the best way to get a hold of me is through my Creighton email address. But you can also email me through the email system within Blue Line. Okay, so there's two email systems that you can choose from. In our course website, our learning management platform that we call Blue Line, there's an email system in there, and you can certainly reach out to me within that system. My preference, however, is for you to use my Creighton email address. It's just tlenz@creighton.edu, TLENZ. And the reason for that is it's easier for me to respond. It's harder for me. I have to get my computer out and get into the system, and it's just harder to respond through Blue Line. It's easier and faster if you just email me through the Creighton email address. But it's your choice too. So if you feel more comfortable with that, that's totally fine with me. So those are the two ground rules, if you want to call them that, I guess. The other thing that I will do is send out optional optional Zoom sessions for us at maybe 3-4 times throughout the course, is for us to have an opportunity to talk synchronously over Zoom. Those are completely optional. This isn't a requirement for this course that we have a synchronous component, but I will record those, and then if you can't make it, I'll send them out. The purpose of the optional Blue Line sessions is for us just to have a conversation about the course material, so we can have a chance to dialogue in real time, so I can answer your questions or concerns during those times. Because usually if you have questions, other people have the same questions as you do. So I will send those dates out, and we can meet up during those times. And if you have questions outside of that, certainly just send me an email. All right, looking forward to having a great class, and so we will talk again soon. Thanks.